Hey all, Binks here. I am so excited today to bring you what I think is the best OTA that Second Dinner has ever done. I think that all of these changes are just really understanding of what's happening in the meta and what's making people frustrated, and it does really effective jobs at like kind of taking away these incredibly powerful tools and will allow the meta to open up and have a lot of awesome decks be available. So let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be making some adjustments to the end of turn strategy, weakening some consistently performing and often frustrating cards that interrupt and interact with your opponent's game plan, and making a variety of buffs to some underperformers. Let's get started. Fenris Wolf from 2-3 to 3-4. This change is like the exact change I was asking for this package. I feel like the Fenris, Negasonic, Gladiator, Mercury, Cannonball package is all worked around Fenris Wolf being 2-3 and being able to cheaply fit it in either on 2 or like on turn 5 with another 3-cost card to be able to get a huge payoff from destroying a powerful card in 2 lanes. So moving this to a 3-4 is incredible. It makes you have to play it on 3, which interrupts, wanting to play like Gladiator or Negasonic, and it makes it much harder to fit in on like turn 5. Really heads up, really awesome change. Fenris Wolf was going to be a problem. It already was like the biggest problem no one was talking about, in my opinion. Great change. Also bringing Cannonball down to a 5-6. Frequently but not always paired together, Fenris and Cannonball often represent a ton of points with little counterplay. In particular, the curve of Fenris and the Negasonic Ward is incredibly powerful for generating both a ton of points and virtual points through your opponent's card being destroyed then revived. Fenris Wolf in particular is a rather unique card in the game as it plays a novel role, but the ease of weaving it into your game plan is just too low relative to its impact. The aforementioned curving of Negasonic is the easiest example of this potential because you can start it on turn 2. This is exactly what I think, so maybe it's just bias that I think that this is the best OTA of all time, but like this is like legitimately the exact thought process that I have with Fenris Wolf. We sometimes make buffs to cards to make them less clunky and awkward, and to realize their synergies, but we're taking the opposite route today to ensure that Wolf keeps his identity in Marvel Snap, but making it more difficult to realize his point potential without incurring some kind of opportunity cost by committing on turn 3, trying to realize his strategy. Mercury Cannonball combo has been tearing up ladder for a while. Can be rather frustrating to play against. As is, playing Cannonball largely ensures that lane, you're going to win that lane. And we're hoping that the sizable nerf to his power can make that outcome less guaranteed. And with Fenris making a small, I don't think it's going to be as small, but it's making a meaningful impact to the impact of Cannonball's total strength as well. We know there's an inherent frustration of losing your own cards, particularly when there's even more randomness factored in. And our belief is that these changes will do good work to lower the frequency with which that happens in an unsatisfying manner. And then Juggernaut going from 3-3 to 4-5, rounding out the pretty frustrating category, making a sizable change to Juggernaut. As is, Juggernaut's play pattern typically sees him played on turn 6, disrupting at a lane more often than not, allowing Juggernaut players to play another character to lock up the game. All that while being a target for Silver Surfer. Our hope is that this change will primarily encourage engaging with Juggernaut before the final turn. Now it is very difficult to play 2 cards in the same turn without it. Increasing the variety of the guessing game with Juggernaut is not to be the final play of the game, to open up tactics for playing with and against Juggernaut substantially overall, making the experience more dynamic after the nerf. Fantastic changes, very good, wonderful. Juggernaut was very frustrating as a 3-cost, especially just because, like they said, you could weave it in with another powerful. You could play like Juggernaut Gladiator, then you had an 8 to 1 lane, and then you pretty much guarantee win the other. Really tough to deal with, especially when then like Fenris was often activating at the same time. Super good. Those first 3 changes, absolutely incredible. It's going to really open up the meta and allow for different ways for people to try and tech and counter against you that hopefully will feel less frustrating. Fantasticar going from 4-7 to 4-5. Wanted to start making the changes incrementally last OTA to the end of turn deck, given how the large of a change the Mr. Fantastic First Steps and Ghost rework were. We've seen significant inroads from a few short weeks, and we still believe the end of turn deck is worthy of further action in an attempt to provide more diversity to the metagame. I actually kind of disagree with this because now they have a safety valve on the deck with the Ghost Rider, which is just like, if this deck ever comes up and is really strong again, I feel like that Ghost Rider will pop up and then be able to absolutely farm those decks. So interesting to see this happen. This is one of the changes. I would maybe like to see a 4-6 on the Fantasticar, but a 4-5, I mean, it's fair. I mean, the card's very powerful. We'll monitor things, take further action if necessary, but our hope is the ladder deck diversity will improve substantially between these changes to Cannonball. Mad Thinger going from 1-1 to 1-2 goes from a bad card to a bad card. Nightmare going from 3 -1 on reveal. Replace the text of each card in your hand with the text of a random card. Changes from -1 to 1. A 2-point swing for Nightmare. Really, really important. And I think a really, really good change. Silver Surfer First Steps from a 3-4 to a 3-5. This card was terrible. I still haven't played with it, and I don't own it because it is the Super Season Pass, which I don't get. I don't think 3-5 makes it that much better now, because I used to say it's just Prodigy but worse. Now it has more points, so maybe there's more decks that want to try and fit in Silver Surfer First Steps. Maybe there's a little something to this. I definitely needed a buff. I think that the card was real bad. Tarpers and buffs, these 3 cards represent a pretty similar theme, relatively unique effects. Thought could give a little more love. For Mad Thinker, we weren't entirely sure the average outcome of this card would realistically be. The average outcome is that people don't play it currently. Becomes a large deck building ask, but it's become clear in the 1-drops in general, as we'll get to, get a little bit more strength overall. Nightmare was the card we were most intentionally cautious with. This is the type of card that fans of the effect will absolutely love, but its involvement does make following what's happening in a normal game of Snap more difficult. As a result, we want to hedge against it by having too much in the metagame share. Given that it does have such fans and its win rate, we think we can loosen things up here just a tad, give it slightly more respectable stat line. Great change. Nightmare's cool. I believe they've also adjusted the effects, I think, where it's changed. I think they did that in the last patch, maybe. But I'll have to give it a try and see. But good to see Nightmare getting some love. Silver Surfer First Steps is by design a card with a lot of potential to pair with the original Silver Surfer card. Wanted to hedge a little against the interaction being too strong that hasn't shaken out. First Steps has a lot of interesting interactions that we'd like to promote players to experiment with. That's good. Give it a little bit of a buff. I think that it was just really not good. So at a 3-5, maybe there's ways to include it and have fun with it in your deck. America Chavez going from +2 power to +3 power. That's awesome. Nearly every OTA, we're looking out to refreshing old favorites, and today this is felt in America Chavez's time. In general, adding more buffing to the game is something we want to encourage to allow players to create fun, emergent combos and synergies. And although +3 power is a very large buff, I mean, she becomes basically a 1-5, which is really strong. As proven with cards like Galacta, we feel like the distinct lack of targeting for Chavez gives her more room to be strong. Love that. Like, Galacta was a problem because it was +3, it was super targeted. The fact that America Chavez is a +3, but it's not targeted unless you want to run Howard the Duck as a joke. Really, really solid. Ghost Spider to 1-3! Closing out, we want to make some incremental changes to the move package. Understandably, there was a fairly mixed reaction to the Vulture and Human Torch swap from last OTA. And noted then, we want to remain committed to make this art take remains healthy for the game in the long term, as well as for some fans, fun for its fans. Move has a natural predator with the Mercury Cannonball combo tearing up the ladder, and we hope that the nerf will naturally help out the deck, but we still think there's room to keep improving Move. We wanted to keep the synergies relatively incremental, but we're committing to make sure that Snap synergy decks remain viable to play. The change in Ghost Spider, I think 1-3 Ghost Spider, I'm not going to lie, I think 1-3 Ghost Spider might be a card I want to put in every deck. Like 1-3 Ghost Spider, it's just powerful, it's high power curve as a 1-3. You could just slot it in into any deck, and then the ability for Ghost Spider to make an effect on one lane and then move the power of that card. I used to love it in like OG Cannonball stuff before the Mercury combo, where you'd Cannonball lane to win that lane, and then you'd use Ghost Spider to pull 10 power to another lane to try and win 2. You could do it with Arrow as well. You pull like their really big card that they just played to a lane that you're already losing, and then you pull Ghost Spider to pull the Arrow in. Really awesome stuff happening here. This Ghost Spider change is one that I don't think a lot of people are gonna like care too much about and think is fine. I think 1-3 Ghost Spider might be like the most splashable card in the game. I would just love to just kind of like throw this into any deck to give us a little bit of wiggle room. I'd already been doing it with the original Ghost Spider, so with a 1-3 Ghost Spider, even better. So we have just a couple of small incremental changes to a bunch of cards that were underperforming. I think all of them will be impactful except for Mad Thinker probably. I still don't think that card is good. But America Chavez might encourage more buffing decks. Ghost Spider is going to make Move just a little bit stronger, and it's going to be a card where you might want to experiment utilizing it in some decks that aren't actually Move focused. And Silver Surfer First Steps was really bad, and now it's maybe okay in like Surfer and stuff like that. Really great stuff. The Fantasticar change, it seems a little harsh, especially when they just released the safety valve to this deck. The Juggernaut change isn't fantastic. I used to be a Juggernaut believer for a long time. Like the Juggernaut was just kind of fine, but it's just shown at 3 cost. The effect is just ridiculous. And then the Fenris change, I think, is perfect. I think that people don't realize, like, people might look at this and be like, oh, it's going to be very similar. Fenris moving to 3 is so impactful for that combo of cards to come out, just from like on paper it doesn't look that much, but actually how the turns curve out when you play it, I think it's going to be so incredibly impactful. Cannonball to 5/6, I think this might be an overshot with the Fenris getting changed, but a lot of people are going to love to see this, and I think it's fine. Cannonball has been a very, very frustrating card to have to play against for a while, so it being a 5/6 in the lane, they needed to have 2 additional points of power to be able to win in the same capacity, I think is really good. Really, really awesome changes. Shout out to Second Tinner and the balance team. This is right on the money. I think that this is going to have a huge positive impact for a lot of players enjoying the game, and I think these small incremental buffs are just really great, and I love to see them keep coming. But thank you so much for hearing my thoughts on today's OTA. As always, let me know down in the comments below what you think I was right about, what you think I was wrong about. Love to hear the conversations about these different OTAs and how players feel about them. I think that that's always a really, really important thing. Thank you again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Binks. I hope you like the vibe. Binks. Like and subscribe.